So go ahead and have a seat at the front of your mat. And let's just kind of take a moment and get nicely centered in. So just kind of take a moment. Find a good, straight, aligned spine. Relax your shoulders, relax your jaw, close your eyes, take a really deep breath in through your nose, and a big exhale through your mouth. Just kind of notice how everything's feeling today. And it's always really nice to notice the parts that feel great, along with the parts that we might need to give a little extra love to today. So notice the whole package. And then let's start breathing a little deeper, a little slower, a nice calming Ujjayi breath. And then just check in with thoughts. Check in with your emotions. Check in with your energy right now. And even your sense of connection. And then let's go ahead and bring palms together in front of the heart, and we'll set our intention. So just being really clear about what it is that you need from your practice today, whatever that is. And then when you're super clear about that, take a deep breath in and a big exhale. Good. Let's just roll our shoulders back a couple of times. Good. And then before we even get moving, we're just gonna moving. We're gonna go ahead and open up our torso a little bit. So if you can sit in a cross-legged position, that would be great. And if you need to extend your legs out, well, we're going to start with 3 torso circles in each direction. So as you exhale, you're leaning forward, and as you inhale, you are leaning back. And I'd like you to go 3 times in each direction. So let's just kind of let you know what's going on in your hips and also through the sides of the waist and the abdomen and the back. It's kind of a nice way to start the movement. And as you finish your 3rd circle in each direction, then you can just kind of come back to the center. We'll do a quick side bend with a twist. So I'll go ahead and mirror you guys today. You can always kind of tell how lucid I am, whether I'm willing to mirror you or not. Joke. So you will put your right hand on the ground. We'll be mirror images of each other today. Slide your right arm out, keeping your left glute firmly planted. And then reach your left arm up and overhead. Try and have that arm straight. Push your left hip into the floor. Reach through left fingertips. Decide if you want to feel more. And if you do, you can actually bend your right elbow a little bit. Let's take 3 deep breaths here. Really kind of ballooning out that left rib cage with our inhales. And as you come up, go ahead and take your left hand behind you, right hand on that left knee, lift your chest, and you're twisting to look over your left shoulder. 3 breaths here. And then as we rotate back around, we'll just take this left hand out to the left, slide it out, keeping your right glute planted, and then reach your right arm up and overhead, preferably with a straight arm. Push your right hip into the ground, relax your neck. And then if you want more, you can bend that left elbow a little bit, and we'll take those 3 extra deep breaths here. So the idea being that each time you inhale really deeply and your lungs inflate, your right rib cage is expanding to accommodate that. And then as we come up, we're just going to take the right hand behind us, left hand on right knee, lift your chest, twist, and look over your right shoulder. And rotate back around, transition onto your hands and knees. And we'll just arch around the back, do some traditional cat-cows. So you're following your breath with your movement, not the other way around. Every time you breathe in, you let your belly drop and your head and your tailbone rise. And every time you breathe out, head and tailbone drop and your back lifts up. Do that one more time. And then we're going to do that kneeling side bend. So you will get your lateral movement here. You're going to take both feet to your right. Look over your right shoulder like you're trying to see your left heel. Couple of breaths here. Again, you're going to feel left rib cage opening up. And take both feet over to the left, look over your left shoulder, right rib cage kind of juts out to the right. Come back to the center and take a child's pose. Couple of breaths here, trying to breathe so deeply that you actually feel your low back expanding. And then we'll scoot forward into a nice spine lengthening sphinx. So tractioning out, letting the heels drop open, and actually using some effort today to pull with the forearms to get some length into the spine. And then downward facing dog. Turn those toes under. Take your first down dog. Spread the palms, push that tailbone up and back, sink those heels down. Of course, you can pedal the feet a couple times on this first down dog if you need to. But then just really lengthen your spine. And then from here, we're going to step the right foot forward. We're getting right into it, you guys. Don't worry. It's going to be a gentle practice. But let's go ahead and just hold our lunge for a moment. Drop the left knee down. Put your right hand on the inside of your right knee. Sink the hips forward and gently press that right leg open. So just noticing if you're feeling anything at all on that right outer hip, or seeing if you can get to a place where you're feeling an appropriate amount of sensation. And then go straight into your hamstring stretch. Just lengthen out that right leg. Flex the ankle on that right foot if you can, toes included. Couple of breaths. And then bend your right knee. I'd like you to start with your hands on top of the right thigh. Tuck your tailbone under, sink your hips forward. So first you just find that stretch on the front of your left hip. And then I want you to raise just the left arm up and kind of play with it. So if you lean back a tiny bit or lean a little to the right, it's gonna just amp up the stretch a wee bit. Should be in a pleasant way though. Take a couple breaths. And then hands down. Take your right leg straight back to downward facing dog. Push back, lengthen. Left foot steps forward. Just hold your lunge here for a couple of breaths. And then we're going to drop the right knee down, put the left hand on the inside of that left knee, sink your hips forward a little bit and gently press your left leg open. So maybe those of you that did yin with me last night, you might feel a little something, something from that. I know I do. Anytime I do hip related stuff, inner outer thigh stuff in yin, I usually do feel it the next day. Not until I start to move into poses like this, but it's there. So if you're feeling it, well done. It means you did something last night. Let's go ahead and extend the left leg. Get your hamstring to stretch, flex the ankle on the toes, take a couple of breaths. And then we're going to bend the left knee. Start with both hands on the top of your left thigh. Tuck your tailbone under, sink your hips forward. Find that opening on the front of the right hip. And then take just the right arm up and kind of play with it. See what it feels like to maybe lean to the left or to lean back, or kind of a combination of both. Both hands come down. This time we're stepping forward to a standing forward bend, but I want you to go ahead and bend your knees and just hang and ragdoll for a couple of breaths. And then inhale, reach your arms all the way up and overhead. Exhale, palms together in front of your heart. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale and look up halfway. And then exhale back down. So this time you're going to step back with your left foot. Go ahead and spin the heel flat and come up into a warrior two. Just take a moment and find that alignment. Reverse your warrior. Put your left hand on your left thigh. Reach the right arm up and over. Make sure that right knee stays bent and that you don't let it get lazy and drop in towards the big toe. Go ahead and come all the way back up and straighten your right leg. Kick your hips to the left. Lengthen your rib cage to the right. And find your triangle pose today, wherever that is. From here, we're going to bring the left hand down and just lengthen out over that right leg for a moment. And then I want you to actually swivel onto your left toes and bend your right knee. You'll find yourself in a lunge. Plant your left hand and take your right hand to the ceiling. Bring your right hand down. All right, so my vinyasa friends, off you go. The rest of us are just going to move into a child's pose. From child's pose, we'll scoot forward into either Sphinx or Cobra, whatever your fancy is today. And then downward facing dog. Stretch that tailbone back, lengthen. Don't forget to press your heels earthward. You want them to start to move in that direction. And then we're actually going to walk our feet forward and come back into our standing forward bend for a moment. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up and over our head. And exhale, palms together in front of the heart. Now let's do our other side. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, look up halfway. And then back down. This time we step back with the right foot. And we spin the heel flat. And we come up into our warrior two. So again, just taking a moment to find a really nice warrior two stance. And you should feel strong and steady. And then we're going to reverse it. So put your right hand on your right thigh, reach your left arm up and over. Make sure that left knee stays bent and that you keep your left outer hip engaged. Come all the way up from that. Straighten your left leg. Kick your hips to the right. Lengthen out for your triangle on this side. Make sure left side of the spine feels just as long as the right side. Both legs are straight, both arms are straight. You're breathing. You are aligned over your left thigh. Bring your right hand down, just pause for a moment, lengthening out over that left leg. And then just swivel back onto your right toes and bend the left knee. You're back in that lunge. Plant that right hand and take your left hand up towards the ceiling. Bring your left hand down. And again, if you're doing vinyasas, off you go. The rest of us are going to go ahead and move into child's pose again. From child's pose, we scoot forward into Sphinx. Lengthen out. And then downward facing dog. From this down dog, go ahead and walk your feet forward to a standing forward bend. Inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale, palms together in front of the heart. So we're gonna do eagle pose for our balance today. We're gonna start it with the upper body part first so that you get a really nice upper back stretch. So arms are in front of you, palms facing down. We're going to start with the right arm on bottom, left arm on top. If you can, palms of the hands touch. I want you to pull your shoulders down, elbows up, push them forward. Take a couple of breaths. Draw 2 big circles in the air with your elbows in each direction. You should feel some stuff happening there. Upper back stretch. Good. Now, if you can, just keep your hands where they at. You're going to bend your knees. So it's really important that this is a semi-squatting position. Take your left thigh tightly on top of your right thigh. Squeeze those thighs together. Lift your chest so that you're vertical. Drop your tailbone so it's a deeper squat. Don't forget to breathe. Helps if you squeeze those thighs together. And then let's unwind completely. Roll your shoulders back a couple of times. Awesome. Other side. Starting with just the upper bodies. Your arms are in front of you. Your left arm goes on bottom, right arm on top. If you can get the palms together, awesome. Then we pull the shoulders down, elbows up, push them forward. Take a breath. You should feel a little bit of a stretch between the shoulder blades, and then go ahead and draw a couple of big circles in the air in each direction with your elbows. And then when you come back to center, bend your knees, don't skip that. Take the right thigh tightly on top of your left thigh. Squeeze your thighs together, drop your tailbone, but lift your chest. So try not to lean forward. You really want to be almost vertical here. And then just breathe. And unwind, release the arms and roll your shoulders back. Awesome. Take a nice big wide side step on your mat. Toes are pointing directly forward. We're going to hinge at our hips and initially just grab your elbows and hang. Take a couple of breaths here. So if your hamstrings are exceptionally tight, you might want to bend your knees. If you can, though, keep your legs straight and just let the forward bend initiate from the pelvis. And then up on the hands, we're going to walk our hands over towards the right foot. If you can grab your right foot, that's awesome. If not, it's okay. And then walk your hands over to your left foot, same thing. And then bring your hands out in front of you a little bit onto the floor, and you might need to do fingertips. You want to try and find a flat back. So you guys have done this variation on a revolved triangle with me before. I'll give you an option to play deeper only if it feels good. We've done a lot to open up our torso and our shoulders, but you only do as much as it feels good for you. So the first thing you would do is put your right hand, if your back is flat, you want your right hand on the floor underneath your throat or your face. You keep your spine long and you rotate your left hand up towards the ceiling. Now, the way you can play deeper, only if you want to, is this right hand that's on the floor grabs your left leg or ankle and you pull towards your left leg. Only if it feels good. Take one more breath. And then bring both hands onto the ground again. Reestablish that nice flat back. Take your left hand directly underneath your face or your throat on the floor and rotate your right hand up towards the ceiling. If you want to play deeper, purely optional, left hand grabs your right ankle or calf and you kind of pull on it while you keep that right hand up. One more breath. Bring both hands back down. Toe heel the feet in to whatever distance works best for you for a yogic squat. Being mindful, of course, of any hip or knee issues. 3 more breaths here. Support your weight on your hands if you need to. And then on your next inhale, come all the way up, reach the arms up and overhead. And as you exhale, come back to the front of the mat with the feet together and the hands together. Inhale, reach your arms up. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale and look up halfway. And exhale back down. I want you to step back to downward facing dog and just stretch for a moment. So we're going to take the right leg underneath us for pigeon. You're not going to be here for long, and we're going to kind of be opening up the back a little bit more. So right leg comes underneath if you can. If not, figure 4 on your back with your right ankle across is a beautiful place to go. Trust me on that. We're not going to be here very long anyway. But if you can, you come into pigeon. If you're in pigeon, stay on your hands, and I would like you to take your left arm underneath you, just like you would for threading the needle. And then if you can, you take your right hand up towards the ceiling. Just a couple of breaths. And if you're on your back in a figure 4 stretch, you're perfect. Stay there. Those of you in pigeon, we're just going to come into down dog. If you're in figure 4, just hug your knees in, because we're just going to do the other side. So left ankle across right knee for figure 4, or left leg underneath you for pigeon. We stay on the hands, and then take the right arm underneath, like we would for threading the needle. You can keep your left hand on the ground, or if you feel like you can, your left hand to raise up towards the ceiling. And then everybody, however you can, find your way to downward facing dog. Stretch and breathe. Drop to your knees, wag your tail for a moment. And then we're going to do another upper back stretch that's really nice for the shoulders. You just have to be careful with it. So what I'd like you to do is just go ahead and lie flat on your stomach. Now, this is a little different from the chest stretch that we regularly do, or for those of you that did again last night, we did the chest stretch. This is kind of the opposite. So what I want you to do is just trust me for a second. Hopefully you have clearance. You're just going to roll onto your back to the right, which means you're off of your mat, which is super cool right now. So you should be on your back. Your mat is to the right, beside you. Open your right arm out to the right with the palm facing up. And then if it's okay with your body, you're just going to roll back on top of it. Let your forehead relax forward. So it's like you're trying to roll back onto your stomach. Your left arm is going to reach along the floor over your head. So basically you are lying face down on top of your right arm. And where you should be feeling a stretch is that right shoulder blade area, the back side of your upper right side of the torso. Now, the easiest way to come out of this is to use your left hand under your left shoulder. Just lift up enough that you can pull your right arm out from underneath you. And where you should be right now is you're just face down on your mat again, kind of like we started. So now we go the other way. I'd like you to just go ahead and roll over onto your back to, that's the left. Sorry, I got lost for a moment. You have to roll to your left. So if you are lying on your back, your mat is to your left. Open your left arm straight out to the left with your palm facing up. So your left arm is out. You're just going to roll back on top of it. Try and get face down if you can. Relax your neck. Reach your right arm over your head along the floor. Take a couple of breaths. And then again, you can just use your right hand to kind of press up and get your left arm out from underneath you. And you should be face down on your mat. So let's go ahead and take this opportunity to do one more Sphinx pose. Really lengthen out. Just stretch. And then downward facing dog. Pedal your feet out if you need to. Lengthen your spine. Press your heels down. And then drop down to your knees. Keep your knees completely together. And keep them both on the mat. Walk your hands back towards your knees. If you can kind of sit on the heels, that's awesome. If your knees don't like it, then please modify. But keeping your knees together and down, see if you can just kind of shift your hips to the left. You should get a nice, gentle outer hip stretch on that left side. Don't let the right knee lift. And then come on up and just shift your hips to the right. You can support as much of your body weight on your hands as you need to. And then as you finish that out, just swivel your legs around so that they're in front of you, and you can come into Dandasana. Find your sit bones and just take a moment either with hands behind you to help with a really straight and traction spine, or with hands on top of the thighs, whatever feels best for you. Legs are active, spine is straight. I would love for you to just check in and notice how your body's feeling. Has your breath been pretty even throughout your practice? What are your thought processes like? Any emotions bubbling up? What's your energy like right now? Do you need to amend your intention, or is it great? Just kind of pay attention. And then we're just gonna lean out gently over both legs, a good forward bend. Take a couple of breaths. And then come on up from that. Keep your right leg straight. Bring your left foot to the inside of your right thigh. And I'd like you to just lean out over your right leg. Now, wherever your left hand is, and it doesn't matter, wherever it is, it's in the right spot. So if it's on your foot, great. If it's on your shin, great. You're just going to take the left hand and move it to the right side, or the outside of your right foot or ankle or leg. You're going to bring your right hand beside your right hip, palm down. I'd love for you to pull a little bit with your left arm. See if you can get at least a small bend in your left elbow. Engaging your left bicep helps this stretch a lot. And then you actually push with your right hand. You're trying to pull your torso forward while twisting to look over the right shoulder. Now, it depends upon your body, but you kind of have to fine tune and finesse this stretch. You should feel something behind your left shoulder blade if you breathe deeply. You might feel it even from the left hip all the way up, but I want you to just take some extra deep breaths here. And then just trade out. I want you to put your right hand wherever your left hand was. Lift your chest as much as you can with your hand in that position. Let that left arm open out behind you. You'll notice that serves the purpose of opening up your chest a little bit. And then just reach your left arm up and over your head and slowly bring it into a side bend. So your right elbow can start to bend perhaps. Left arm is straight. The farthest you really want to go is getting that left arm parallel to the ground. Take a couple breaths. Big left side of the torso stretch. And then you can just let your left hand join your right hand and lean out over your right leg one more time. We're going to come up from that and just pick the left knee up. So your left foot's flat inside your right thigh. And you're going to twist to your left now. You can either just hug your left knee with that right arm with your left hand behind you, or you can bring that right elbow outside of your left knee or thigh. Just take a few breaths here, looking over your left shoulder. And unwind, extend your left leg, reestablish your seat on your sit bones, wiggle if you need to, and then we're gonna bring the right foot to the inside of the left thigh. Lean out over your left leg, take a couple breaths. Wherever your right hand is the perfect place. You just want to slide it over to the outside or left side of your left, whatever. So you're either grabbing outside of your left foot, ankle, calf. Left hand is going to come beside your left hip, flat on the floor. Pull with your right arm and try and get a little bit of a bend in your right elbow, and keep that and begin to push with your left hand and twist and look over your left shoulder. Remember, you may need to kind of fine tune this a little bit. You are looking for sensation behind the right shoulder blade. How much you pull and how much you twist in combination is what kind of controls your sensation. And once you get it, just breathe. And then put your left hand where your right hand was. Lift your chest as much as you comfortably can. Reach your right arm out to the right or back behind you. You'll notice that kind of opens up the chest. Then we're going to reach the right arm overhead towards the ceiling. Start to bend the left elbow if you can. And then start reaching the right arm even more overhead, like you're trying to get it parallel to the floor. Big right side of the torso stretch. Take a couple of breaths. And then just let your right hand join your left hand and lengthen out over your left leg one more time. Come on up. From that, pick your right knee up so it's pointing at the ceiling. You can just hug your right knee with your right hand behind you, or you can bring your left elbow outside of that knee. Just nice straight spine as you twist and look over your right shoulder. Unwind yourself all the way back to the center. Extend both legs. Give them a little wiggle if you need to. And then if it feels okay in your body, we're going to rock back and forth a few times, kind of like seated to rolling back and seated. Now, not everyone's back is going to like that. So if you kind of feel like when you roll onto your back, you go kerclunk, and it's not happy going back and forth, you're just going to stay on your back and rock side to side, and we'll join you shortly. If your back likes going back and forth, cross your ankles. So this is really the easiest way to do it. Make sure that you're far enough forward on your mat that you have clearance behind you. So if you cross your ankles, this makes it easier to sit up too. You can just kind of grab your toes or the outside edges of your feet, or even your big toes, whatever makes you happy. And as you rock back, you let your legs extend a little bit, and it gives you momentum to rock back up. Now, if that doesn't work for you, hug your knees and do baby rocks back and forth, or just rock side to side. But if you can do the full back and forth rock, I would like for you to do 5 of them. Off we go. And if you're doing the back and forth ones on that 5th one, you just kind of stay on your back, hug your knees, and then we'll do our little side to side rocks. If you were already on your back, hugging your knees, rocking side to side, bonus. All right, you guys, from here, keep your right knee hugged into your chest, extend your left leg all the way out. Just let it rest on the floor. Kind of interlace your fingers over your right shin. And if you've got knee issues and you're grabbing behind your right thigh, interlace your fingers behind your right thigh. It works either way. So we're just going to use the strength of our leg to stretch the upper back a little bit. Start to press your knee away from you. You're going to feel your arms straighten, and you'll start to feel your upper back lift. Just go enough that you're feeling a stretch in the upper back, but the back of your head is still on the floor. We don't want to lift so much that our head comes up. We want the head and neck supported. Take one more breath here. And then just hug the knee into the chest again, flattening out. And we'll take it into an easy twist. Just bring your right leg all the way across your body and let your right arm open up to the right. Turn your head to the right and take a few breaths here. On your next inhale, come back up. As you exhale, hug your right knee to the chest. And you can just bring your left knee up to meet it. Sneak in a little rock side to side if you want one. And then extend your right leg all the way out onto the ground and hug your left knee in. So same thing here, you're gonna interlace your fingers over the front of the shin or the back of the thigh, wherever you're grabbing. And then we're gonna press the left knee away from the chest. So as that's happening, the arms are straightening. The chest and upper back are lifting, but we're gonna stop before the head lifts. Take a couple breaths here. And then just hug your left knee back in. And turn it into an easy twist. Let your left leg come all the way across your body. Let your right arm open. Sorry, your left leg's coming across your body. Your left arm is opening out to the left. That's what I get for thinking I was confident in my directions today, right? Left arm opens out to the left, palm up. And if it's all right with your neck, your head turns to the left. Take some deep breaths here. On your next inhale, come on back up, hug your left knee in, bring your right knee up to meet it, rock side to side. So from here, for our inversion, I know everybody kind of has to take care of their bodies and what you have going on. So my first preference, if you have a really happy back, my preference would be for the theme of the class to do plow pose. Now that's where your legs are going all the way up and overhead. Not everybody is going to be happy doing that. If you've got neck or shoulder issues, that may not be the best thing for you. So if you're one of those people and you have a block, maybe you could stick the block under your sacrum and just float your legs up. And if your back doesn't want to do plow and you don't have a block, you could either do a gentle bridge or just stick your legs in the air. So kind of do what's best for you. But if you feel like you could hike your hips into your hands, that would be my preference. All right. So off you go. If you can, hips come into the hands, legs start to drop overhead. You make sure that you keep a little bit of curve in the back of your neck. Don't let your neck flatten out. Now, if you're just doing the restorative version, let your hips rest on a block. And just kind of let your legs float up. And if none of that seems like a good idea for you, please feel free to do a gentle bridge. If you're in plow, we're just kind of stretching the back a little bit more. So if you are with your legs up and overhead, doesn't matter if they're touching the ground, I want you to breathe towards your back. On your next exhale, whatever pose you're in, slowly find your way out of it. Hug your knees, rock side to side. Grab the outer edges of your feet and wiggle a little bit in happy baby. So just kind of see what's going on in the hips. Most of our emphasis and practice today was kind of upper back and torso. So you might need to release something in the hips. If you did yin yesterday, you might just want to be a little gentler with how you move. It's a nice way to explore what happened yesterday. So just kind of have some fun with your movement. We'll take about 5 or 6 more breaths here. And as you feel you're ready, let your feet come down to the mat, ankles and knees together. We're going to just do that little gentle hip roll, just a few on each side. So as you exhale, both knees drop to one side. As you inhale, they come up. As you exhale, they drop the other way. Remember, it can be a small movement or it can be a big one. It's whatever feels good for you. So whenever you feel like you're fairly even or you're happy with the number of hip rolls you've done, just let your knees drop open with the soles of the feet together. Let's just take a moment and just let the legs relax open. And then we'll lengthen the low back. So on your next inhale, tilt your pelvis back, or think of it as pressing your low back into the mat, and just hold that while you breathe. On your next exhale, release that, and you may begin to extend your legs, separate the feet. Once you get your lower body set for your Shavasana, make sure that your spine feels long. Make sure you've got some space between your shoulder blades. And then let the shoulders relax away from the ears. Palms are facing up. Neck is long. Let all the muscles in your face just soften. Your forehead smooths out. Your eyelids just float on the eyeballs. Your jaw is relaxed. Your throat is soft. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Exhale through your mouth. And just settle into your Shavasana. So as you feel your body just really responding to this oh so familiar pose, I'd like you to first just kind of tune into your breath and see if there's any sound. So we're letting go of control of the breath. So you may or may not hear your breath, but just kind of listen for it. Then I'd like you to listen for any sounds in your immediate environment. If you're in your home, listen to sounds there, like whether it's the humming of the refrigerator or creaking floorboards or pets or partners or any of that. Notice if there's any sounds inside. And if you're outside, just notice your very close vicinity. And then let your awareness expand out from there. If you're inside, hear any sounds outside, like birds or cars or any other sounds. And if you're already outside, see if you can hear distant sounds. And then just let all of those sounds kind of merge together. The sound of your breath, the sound inside the home or in your general close vicinity, and distant sounds or sounds from outside the home. And then just allow your focus now to drop into what feels like your geographical center, the center of you, inside of you. And notice right there how quiet it is. It's very peaceful. It's silent. It's still. Shift your awareness back outside of you. Again, hearing sounds in your environment. Birds, cars, breeze, animals, anything inside or outside your home. And then drop back down into your silent center, just resting in the quiet. And then finally, staying in this silent center, from this place, become aware of external sounds. Just begin to let your awareness come back into your body now. Feel the muscles, feel the joints, even perhaps bones and organs. Feel every part of you and just notice how that feels. Notice that it's easy to find your way back to that center. If I were to ask you to right now, that you could drop back into that silent, still space inside of you. Recognizing it's always there, it's always at our disposal. And then start to deepen your breath a little bit. Start to move the fingers and toes a little. As you feel like you're ready, take that deeper breath in, spread your fingers and toes. Exhale through the mouth as you relax them. Even deeper breath in as you stretch. And exhale. Bend your knees. You can hug them in if you like, or you can just let your feet rest on the ground. And then go ahead and roll over to your right side if you're comfortable there. And press yourself up to a seated position. So as we come back up to sitting, we're just going to make sure our neck is nice and happy since we've done all of this upper back stuff, and we're just going to do it by some gentle movement. So the first thing I'd like you to do is just turn your head to one side. It doesn't matter which side. Just turn your head as far as it will go. Hold it for a breath. And nice and slow, bring it back around and just keep moving, turning it to the opposite side. And hold for a breath. Coming back to the center, look up if it feels okay with your neck. In other words, You're pointing your chin towards the ceiling, feeling your throat stretch. And slowly lowering the head and allowing it to just keep going until the chin is resting on the chest. Bringing the head back up to center. We draw tiny circles in the air with our nose. We let them get bigger and bigger. And then reverse the motion, going from bigger to smaller. And then just allow the head to balance on top of the spine. So today we're going to work with a really simple 1-to-2 ratio breath. It just means that your exhale is twice as long as your inhale. If you're comfortable with the breathing though, I would like to issue you a slight challenge. We're just going to do 3 of these breaths. If you do very short breaths, you're welcome to do more. But I would issue you this challenge that with each breath, you increase the length. So say you start off, your first breath is a 3-second inhale and a 6-second exhale. Let your second breath be a 4-second inhale and an 8-second exhale, and then a 5-second inhale and a 10-second. So just see if you can increase the length of your breath by each breath as you go. Don't let it be stressful though. Don't let it cause you any anxiety or struggle. This should be a sweet practice. So this will be all through the nose if you can. Let's all start together by taking a deep breath in through the nose and exhaling completely through the nose. Off you go, 1-to-2 ratio breathing. If you're finished with your ratio breaths, just sit in silence for a moment. Now let's bring our palms together in front of our hearts, just taking a moment in gratitude for our practice today, for this practice as a whole. And then I'd like you to truly congratulate yourself for the practice that you are doing, your dedication, your discipline, your willingness to do the work. Take a moment in gratitude for your body, your mind, your breath, and your beautiful heart. And then take one more huge inhale. Big exhale through the mouth. Palms to the forehead, just as a reminder to be present. Palms to the lips, reminding us to speak our truth. And palms to the heart, reminding us to keep our hearts open, to practice kindness and compassion, and to always include ourselves in those. Thank you guys for joining me today. Namaste.